Hi, I'm Eleni, and this video is about why we need to expand our human skills now. And what do we mean by human skills? We mean collaborating, listening, feeling, sharing, being open, being curious, creative, innovating, like bringing back or expanding our capacity to do those things. Our society has focused us on specific behaviors and skills, excluding other very important ones. I'll give you a little brief. We're born pure, whole, and complete. What does that mean? We have everything. We have logic and emotions and intuition and all types of skills. We're open, creative, collaborative. We fall, we get up, so we tolerate risks. We learn. We trust people. We're curious and open and creative. So that's a natural human state. Then we go into what we call a context, or we can call the socialization process, which focus us. So as children, we're open, we're like curious about everything, want to learn everything, want to ask questions about everything. We want everything. We take it all in, and we're very excited about it. And then we go to school. We start getting socialized by our parents even before school, but we start getting focused, okay? Focus on what? On what we need to do to be good, okay? Focused on getting grades, listening, being disciplined, being neat, being obedient, doing well at school. Maybe some parents have more broader view, but generally the society is focusing on results. What do we do to prove that we're smart or creative or capable or whatever? Okay, so we're always focused on what we do. We separate who we are. It doesn't matter if we're tired, we go to school. It doesn't matter if we don't want to go to a competition. Our parents have already put us in there and we have to go. It separates us, how we feel, what we want, from what we do. That's the major thing that happens in the socialization process right now, or in the last few hundred years. And so it says here, we say everything is controlled by reward and punishment. So if an elder or someone who has authority in this world says, this is good, they judge it as good, like being obedient is good. You get rewarded for being obedient and punished for being either rebellious or even a little giggly at school can be not obedient, right? So we are focused through reward and punishment and what we call CJB, criticism, judgment, and blame. And we're social creatures as humans. We want to be part of a group. We want to be safe with our parents. We want to be loved and respected. And so we tend to go toward what is rewarded and what is encouraged. Makes sense? Yeah? In this environment as well, we also say, well, logic is good, emotions are not good. We have to contain them, control them, move them away, avoid them, do something with them, but we don't use them on a daily basis as data, as information, as ways to help us make decisions. We depend only on logic. And so you can see how we're born pure, whole, and complete, and the system kind of separates things like, okay, logic is good, emotions are bad. Obedience is good, rebellious is bad. Math is good, creative is not so important. And we start to separate who we are, like as humans. We move stuff away as if we could. So it's mechanizing the human experience. And this really was very much reinforced by the education system that was designed during the Industrial Revolution to have more workers for production. Okay? So context also means what we have in our head. And if you look at the other videos on triads, it's a triad of what I think, what I feel, what I do. Okay? And that informs us of what mindset, context can be a mindset we bring to the table. And so our socialization gives us the mindset of you're only as good as what you produce or what you own. What you feel doesn't matter. What you think doesn't matter. It's your outcome is the representation of you. If you make a mistake, that represents you. If you get fired, like everything that happens is a result of you, as if it's a one-to-one, like you could control everything. And that creates a lot of controlling behavior because people are trying to like manage their image. What do people think of me? What are they going to say? What are they going to do? What will happen if I say this? Will I get fired? All this nervousness, anxiety. And that's because of our context. It's not because of us. We're taught to be that way. We come out as adults tired, more logical than creative. We focus on logic instead of emotions. We prove ourselves and prove we're good instead of just share. We are defensive if somebody criticizes us, but we also criticize others. So we use the behavior set we're taught. Most cases. You might say, no, I don't do that. Okay, fair enough. This is not 100% everything. This is a trend. This is a general sweep of why we have the problems we have today. It's because we use an industrial context to guide a human experience. It doesn't work. It might have worked in the last few hundred years, but with a lot of pain. It hasn't been easy for anyone. You can read history on how people coped. Nobody has liked working on an industrial process. No one found it fun. People got sick from boredom. There are all kinds of problems. But now, why is it important now? More than ever. Because some things have shifted. We'll give 3 examples. One is this whole system is based on maximizing efficiency and profits. So we've designed organizations, all kinds of ways to be efficient. Think of how many apps there are. And we care about being efficient. And you can even see this on the street. There are pedestrians, there are drivers, there are bicyclists. And if you observe people, you can see everybody's trying to be the most efficient. So somebody who's in a car may cross a yellow light, even though it might scare someone who's walking, because they're like, oh, if I can pass this light, I can save 10 more minutes, and then I'll be more efficient. So our maximizing efficiency has gotten into our subconscious mind, and we just do it automatically, even if we don't realize it, and it goes against the human experience. We are not efficient, even though, yes, our brains are efficient. Like if we don't use ideas, we lose them. There's a lot of efficiency in the human body and mind, but what we care about is effectiveness and meaning. Now, 10, 20 years ago, we weren't as clear about this as we are now. People are making decisions now on meaning. So they're looking for work environments, as an example, that have a positive and open work culture, so that they're using that as a deciding factor as to whether I choose an employer or not. And I want it to be meaningful. In an environment where we've designed everything around efficiency and profits, we have to come up with a meaning. So some companies will move out because they're not meaningful, and other companies will come in because they're meaningful. And the ones who haven't been meaningful and can find meaning, like they will survive. So we're in this kind of shift of how the companies and organizations and political environments we've designed to maximize efficiency, how we're going to shift them to meaning. And it's important now because more and more people are voting with their feet, so to speak, saying, I went to a company, it doesn't feel meaningful, I'm quitting, even if it's after a year. And when a lot of people are doing that, like, for example, millennials, it's a group of people who do that. They don't mind getting a new job every year. When I was younger, I didn't do that. People told me that's not a good thing, but people vote with their feet, which costs a lot more money in terms of finding new people, but also disruption in a company, so it's new. So we do it now. That's why we do it. We care about this now. CJB, criticism, judgment, and blame. It's rampant, right? There's more blame, politicians, people in position power, teammates, neighbors. There's more blaming or criticizing than focusing on what could we do to solve the problems we have. So we blame people instead of looking at the context and saying, how can we change the context to make it easy for people to enjoy or to solve a problem instead of blaming. Another is conflict, which is a little similar, but it's like, oh, we're arguing, we have polarized views, we see each other as enemies, instead of saying, okay, how can we listen and communicate in a way that's helpful to us to come together to question the context we've designed. So the important thing for leaders and change makers in today's world is to shift from CJB here. So move from criticizing people and blaming them to questioning the context. So now it's how can we design work cultures, organizational cultures, societal cultures, how do citizens respond and work with politicians, all to make and design new ways to have meaning, to focus on solutions, and to listen and communicate. These are just examples, okay? There are many more. So this is why we need to now expand our human skills, meaning we go back to what we are as whole humans, logic and creativity and emotions. Logic and emotions and intuition, structure and creativity. Like we bring back all of the human skills and we practice them. And so all these videos we make and the workshops we lead, they're to practice using our human skills the way we have them. We need to practice them in contexts that we have today that are not as dependable and stable as things used to be when we had this. They are now ambiguous and uncertain and very complex. And so we need a broader skill set of our own, just like a classical musician. If you see some classical musicians now, they say, I'll do jazz as well. They're expanding their, musical experience. So we expand our human experience to have all types of more options for us to use in response to CJB, conflict, efficiency metrics, and things like that. So if you would like to practice one thing from watching this video, you could question yourself. Where on these continuums are you? And what skill do you feel like you'd like to practice in yourself in face of, for example, conflict? Instead of oh, I avoid it, or oh, I push it away, or I hate it. Let's say that's true for you. You could say, what else could I do? Maybe I could ask someone, what is their perspective? And then, communicate your perspective. So that's one example of a way you can start to just wonder about yourself in this context and choose one skill that you'd like to practice and develop further to help you be more resilient and more adaptive in the world we live in today.